Okay, let's talk about this Unit 11 grammar presentation on pages 176 and 177. Let's start the slideshow. Okay, this is talking about direct and indirect speech, and the reason we're doing this right with noun clauses is that indirect speech is a way of using noun clauses. First of all, we're going to look at direct speech, where you report exactly what the person said, and you use quotation marks. So he said, comma, the food is delicious, in quotation marks. Or the bill includes service, in quotation marks. Or the service was slow. That's direct speech. Now, when I make those same statements in indirect speech, I can say things like, he said that the food was delicious. Or you could say, he said the food was delicious. You can see when I use said, I don't have a noun or a pronoun for who he was talking to. I can say, he said that the bill included service. He said that the service had been slow. And look at how these verb tenses are changing. Now, if I use told, tell, told in the past tense, that means I'm saying who he was talking to. He told Miriam that the bill included service. Or he told her the service had been slow. In these sentences, that is optional. You can use the sentences with or without that. Now we're going to questions in direct and indirect speech. And these are the direct questions with quotation marks. This is exactly what the chair said. The chair is the person who is leading the meeting. The chair asked, comma, quotation marks, have you finished your report? Or do you think we're going to have time to finish? Those are direct questions. And the answers is either yes or no. So that's why we call them yes nor no questions. Now, when these go to indirect speech, these are what we've previously called embedded questions. And I can say the chair asked Marta if she had finished her report. See what happens to the verb tense. The chair asked her whether she thought they were going to have time to finish. And this is how it looks when you have a WH question. These are direct questions. The customer asked, comma, in quotation marks, what time does the manager arrive? Or the customer asked, who is the manager? And when these are indirect or embedded questions, this is what it looks like. The customer asked what time the manager arrived. And it went to past tense to go with asked. The customer asked who the manager was. And look how you're getting normal word order, not question word order. Okay, these are a lot of verbs that we use. I'm sorry, these are a lot of verb tenses that we use in direct speech. And then on the next slide, we're going to see how each verb changes when you go to indirect speech. So he said, I report the news. Simple present. I am reporting the news. That is present progressive. I reported, simple past. I have reported is present perfect. I had reported is past perfect. I will report, future. And then with these modals, I can report, I should report. Now over here, there should be another quotation mark. I forgot to put it in. Now let's look at what happens to the verbs in reported speech or indirect speech. Okay, present tense becomes past tense. Present progressive becomes past progressive. There are three tenses here: simple past, present perfect, past perfect. All three of these verb tenses in indirect speech become the past perfect. Will in reported speech or indirect speech becomes would. Can becomes could. And for some reason, should does not change. He said I should report the news. He said that he should report the news. Same modal. Now, there are some other changes that happen in indirect speech besides the verbs. Pronouns have to change. So if I say in direct speech, Andy, are you listening? Mary asked. And then if I do this as an embedded question in indirect speech, I have to change the pronoun. Mary asked Andy if he was listening. Possessives will change. The boss said, Sue, bring your camera. Okay, if this is an indirect speech, the boss told Sue to bring her camera. So the your became her. This becomes that. Can I have this film? Sam asked. Sam asked if he could have that film. So here's this and that. Mrs. Brown asked, will you be here? Here will become there. Mrs. Brown asked if I would be there. Okay, these time expressions also will change in indirect speech. We came a year ago, Jim said. Or indirect, Jim said that they had come a year before or a year previously. And now Jim asked, are you leaving now? Now will change to then. Bob asked if I was leaving then. The verb goes to the past tense and the now goes to then. Okay. Oh, this is a typo. Okay, this should be today. I need to work today, Jack said. I'm going to stop and fix this. Okay, so let's look at this again. So today becomes that day. I need to work today, but in the past, Jack said that he needed to work that day. Yesterday will become the previous day or the day before. The reporter asked, did you call yesterday? So the reporter asked if I had called the previous day or the day before. And tomorrow is going to become the next day. Are you arriving tomorrow? Sarah asked. Sarah asked if we were arriving the next day. So that's a summary of the changes that happen when you move from direct to indirect speech. Now, all of this difference between direct and indirect speech is not terribly important when you're talking about informal conversation. And when you go to formal college level writing, you then have to be very careful to do all this correctly.